Hey, welcome to my first podcast. I want to center today's message around my belief that we do not choose our commitments, and then I might riff on whatever other topics arise while I'm filming. I want to start out by talking about the biggest commitment in my life right now, which is triathlon training. This GoPro footage is my imperfect trying to capture my bike ride from yesterday. It was 23 miles, so an hour and a half of pretty low intensity stuff. But I just graduated college 3 months ago. It's been pretty difficult just kind of being thrown out into this formless world. I think I took for granted in college how much background progress I was making, in the sense that even if I wasn't doing anything in college, just the passage of time, like even me watching Netflix, I knew like tomorrow I'm going to be one step closer to my degree. Next year I'll be a junior. But this time after graduating, if I'm just sitting still, there's no progress being made, right? Like, I'm not working towards anything. I'm just sitting with me. I'm back in my hometown. And so triathlon training has really been this great discipline for me because I know that I follow my training plan every single day, and no matter what, I'm making progress. I'm doing something beneficial for my body in a time when every other potential commitment in my life feels so chaotic and feels like I stake my entire identity onto it. Like, especially with writing and business. These are two of the most deepest passions to me, but because they're so core to who I am, I also put a lot of identity pressure of like, okay, these things are all I am, and how good of a writer I am is how good of a person I am, or succeeding in business is how smart I am or how resourceful I am. Whereas triathlon training is completely detached from my self-worth, completely detached to any external perception of me. It's just, how do I show up every day and beat who I used to be, which in a completely new discipline. I've been running for 8 years, so I had that training background, but triathlon, there's so much to learn with like swimming technique, biking. I was able to borrow a road bike from a family friend, which was super nice of him. And honestly, at this point in my life, I am a full-time athlete. Like, that is my number one guiding identity. Writer and creator are very close, but they're secondary in that I would always choose a training session over a writing session. I will break my creative flow in order to train. And I've never identified as an athlete until this year, until like 6 or 7 months ago, which sounds crazy because I've run thousands of miles in my life. I've done 5 half marathons. I did cross country and track all throughout high school, but I always had this limiting identity of like, oh, genetically I'm not an athlete, because in high school I would run like as many miles almost as some of the varsity girls during summer training, and then like random freshmen would come in and just smoke me. Never made varsity all of high school, but I'm one of the few people honestly still left running and still left competing. So I was given a love for endurance sports beyond the outcome. Like, I had to love the process because I wasn't satisfied with the outcome, which I guess is kind of a blessing. I did my first sprint triathlon 6 months ago when I randomly joined the triathlon club at my college. I literally just joined it to do a free weekend trip because they were competing in Iowa City, where one of my friends goes to school, and I was like, okay, I want to see her for free. And apparently they have one of the best cupcake stores in the nation there, Molly's Cupcakes, which definitely lived up to the hype. But after my first sprint triathlon, which literally took under an hour, I was feeling so much pain at the end of this 2-mile running segment on a treadmill that I finished. My body was destroyed the rest of the day. I fell asleep at like 6 p.m. But I knew from that like horrible treadmill moment that I was like, oh, this is not going to be my last triathlon. Like, the type of pain in triathlons is like the addictive kind of pain, at least for me. And that's what I mean by not choosing your own commitments, is that we don't know what we're going to be obsessed with. And I don't think we can even intellectualize reasons why we like something or why something suits our taste or not. I think our subconscious mind is always evaluating, oh, what's the next opportunity? What will fit the ways that I need to develop right now? So I did a second sprint triathlon a month after that first one. And this one was crazy because it was the day after Mardi Gras. St. Louis has the second biggest Mardi Gras in the country behind New Orleans. So I went with my friends. We started drinking Long Island iced teas at 8 a.m., hammered by 1 p.m. I was feeling like shit that evening. I was just cranking like liquid IVs, Pedialytes, and of course, at 6:30 a.m. the next day, my second triathlon ever was starting in the pool. So I got to the pool, I got 3 hours of sleep. I got to the pool like 5 minutes before the race started, and I was like, all right, let me just finish this. And I ended up competing like super well. I actually beat my paces from my previous triathlon, even though everything was 1.5 times longer. I ran a 5K in like under 8 minutes per mile after doing all that bike and swim. So I performed really well somehow. I still don't know like what was going on in my body, but I was like, damn, like triathlon is so fun. And I am kind of more of like a speed athlete, not speed like sprinting, but for me, like a half marathon is a good distance because I can still go fast. And when I did a 30K in the past, it was like a 3.5 hour trail race. And I was like, damn, this is kind of boring. Like, I don't think I want to train for a full marathon right now. I want to keep doing shorter-ish distances, but just see how fast I can go. And so I graduated college. I took 2 months completely off exercise, which was the longest time of my life. And I was instead backpacking around Europe, so I was walking a ton but not doing like cardio or weight training. And then I came back home, and at first I was like, okay, day one, like I just got back from Europe, it's my 22nd birthday, I'm gonna lock in and do 75 hard and get my dream body and get lean and build muscle mass and like all this stuff. I don't know, my anxiety has been spiraling after college, and it got a lot better after like the first month of being home. So I hired a personal trainer for a few sessions because he saw me squatting in the gym and he started like roasting my form. And I kind of liked that, so I hired him, and I was like, all right, just like teach me everything I'm doing wrong. He really helped me see, he's like, I think like you should focus on athletic performance over aesthetics in this time period. And I was like, dang, okay, like I agree with you. So I started looking at triathlons. I decided to do an Olympic distance. A half Ironman and an Ironman is definitely calling in my future, but Olympic distance I felt like was enough for me to do for my first time, as well as also like race it quickly. I think it'll probably be like 2.5 hours. And yeah, I'm halfway through my training plan, done with week 5.5. It's literally just been like the best thing in my life, where every single day I wake up excited. I'm like, I can't wait to bike tomorrow. I can't wait to swim today. I'm swimming after this. And the thing is, we can't choose our commitments. Like, I have friends that love weightlifting. I've never actually enjoyed weightlifting. I kind of just show up to the gym, put a podcast in, do it for health. Another thing that I do in my life is run experiments, and I find that I can't even force experiments. Like, if I force like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this thing every day and like track how I'm feeling and track what works and what doesn't work, like that type of shit, like that structure does not work at all for me. But experiments like always just naturally come up in my life without me trying to force them. That I think is just my brain's natural curiosity for solving, okay, what's the next growth frontier for me? So I'll give you 2 examples of experiments, as well as like creative commitments in my life that have worked. But my experiment with triathlon training is what happens if I focus on athletic performance rather than aesthetics. I think that in culture, like the implicit belief around food, at least as like a woman, I don't know if it's different for men, but is how can I eat as little as possible and still be satiated so that I can like decrease fat. Smaller is better, smaller is more disciplined. But for triathlon training, like I literally need to eat 2,500 calories a day, which ends up being like 4 to 5 meals spread out throughout the day, and even eating when I'm not hungry because I know it'll fuel performance. And for the first couple weeks, it was extremely hard. And I've also tried to loosen my grip on calorie tracking. I still track calories, but not macros throughout the day, and I'm able to trust my body's craving. Like, if I want to get up in the middle of the night and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, I'll do it. Before, the restrictive eating mindset taught me that, like, my body and food were at odds. So I would think, like, oh, I deserve to have this ice cream, and, like, this ice cream is so good. But, oh, I hate my body because it's going to get bigger if I do something I enjoy. Whereas this, like, I've loosened up my food restrictions a little bit. Like, I've been eating, like, chocolate when I want to. But before this, I literally did 6 weeks of, like, no dessert, no alcohol at all. By loosening the mental grasp that I had over my body image and instead training like an athlete and eating more than I ever have, I've actually been losing weight and also gaining muscle mass. Like, I have some of the most defined abs I've ever had in my life, even though I'm, like, eating a shit ton. And today I got a body scan done in my gym, and my body fat is lower than it was in high school. And that actually shocked me because I do still have kind of, like, negative voices in my head about body image or, like, wishing I was smaller or something. But to know objectively that I'm literally, like, healthier than I was in high school, and I think back to, like, oh, that was when I was at my skinniest, it's like, damn, there's literally nothing to change. Another experiment that I'm running in this time after college is not getting a job. To be fair, this is a very privileged position for me to be in because in 2 months I start my dream consulting job. So I don't need money, but that doesn't stop the voice in my head from screaming at me to get a job, to do things, to chase money, to start doing college essay editing because I can make thousands of dollars. Or, oh, I have way too much free time. I want to do something with my hands. I should work at a local coffee shop. Or, oh, if I'm going to be relaxing all day anyway, like I may as well get paid $15 an hour to do it, and I can like think and process my thoughts while I'm working. Oh, I have so much anxiety just seeing my spending balance go down, and I know I'm not going to get paid for another 3 months till Thanksgiving basically. So I should get a job for the mental ease of not having to worry about spending money. But these exact excuses are the reason that I know it's not the best choice for me to get a job right now, because I'm trying to manage anxiety, or I'm trying to avoid the silence that comes with, okay, I know I'm not going to run out of money. I know for a fact I could do anything I wanted in the next 2 months before I start my job. I will not run out of money. I could travel the world. I could buy a car. I could do like whatever, literally anything I wanted. Voicing that out loud is so helpful. And to know that even though I'm in this privileged position, that the voice in my head is still like, get a job. Don't spend $3 on coffee at your favorite local cafe. All this stuff, it's like, why is it so hard for me to be happy, basically? That's what the silence in this time, I think, is teaching me. Another commitment I made, at first when I got home from Europe and I had this 4-month time stretching before I started my job, I was like, okay, I'm entering monk mode. Like, I need to hustle. I need to start a business. I need to do like freelance for my role models, build a network in the future industry I want to go into. But I realized that me doing that was idolizing entrepreneurship in the same way that I had idolized years in the past the same job that I'm about to start now. Where when I entered college, I literally thought to myself, I'm going to do everything I can these 4 years to optimize them and get the best consulting job possible by the end of it. And I ended up following like a much more like curious route, but still like somehow by the grace of God getting my dream job on my own terms, which I'm so grateful for, and I'm like so genuinely excited to start this job. But this job was the thing that my younger self thought, once I achieve this, like my life will be complete. Everything will be perfect. There's nothing after that. And now I have this job. I haven't even started it yet. Think about this. And I'm already like thinking about the thing after that is media entrepreneurship and working in the creator economy. And there are pure drives to that, but it just felt like the exact same thing that I had dealt with 4 years ago, that I achieved my dreams and it didn't solve them. So I guess I did also commit to not starting a business or not kind of chasing things out of this place of pedestaling them or making them into idols. So yeah, it's really just been like sitting uncomfortably into silence. Another thing about commitment is that I spent my senior year of college writing the first draft of a book. It's a guidebook about the biggest stories and lessons I wish I could hand my 18-year-old self when she started college. For 6 months straight, this book was my obsession. Like, that's the reason I didn't work a paid job, is so that I could literally spend like 15 to 20 hours a week writing, paying over $1,000 for an editor. Obsessed with it, but then for whatever reason, 6 months ago, I have not touched the book at all. And even the thought of like, I've written like a little bit, but even the thought of like opening the manuscript just fills me with dread, because in the process of writing the book, I outgrew it. Trying to fit my entire college experience into a framework of lessons and stories for other people required me to just deeply excavate my own values and figure out like, okay, what are the similarities between these things? Like, what actually worked and what is able to be translated for other people? And the entire book basically boiled down to 5 words: inner aliveness over outer validation. And through excavating that value, I was able to see a part of my life where I was still living in contradiction to it. Because it's easy to follow validation when I say, oh, my curiosity is entrepreneurship, or like my curiosity is writing and YouTube, because those things, while they are genuine drives in me, they are still attached to outer validation and like, okay, I'm gonna do this weird curious thing now, but it'll make me famous later, was how I thought about it. But I thought about the areas of my life, especially emotionally, where I was holding myself back because actually what I wanted was not cool and what I wanted would be stigmatized. And writing that book really just made me stare that fact in the face and do extremely deep inner work for a series of months of just emotional turmoil, and like sometimes literally just like crying on the floor of my dorm room, or like listening to healing frequencies and doing meditations for like my future selves and my past self. And I'm getting chills talking about that. But when my commitment shifted away from the guidebook, which it was never like I was grinding and like, oh, I need to force myself to write this book and be productive. where now to me the book feels like grinding like that, but it did not in the past. And so that's how I know that was the commitment that served me, and now it's a different commitment that will serve me, which is currently triathlon training, which I don't know exactly what is there to teach me, but I do know that it's the highest evolution of me at this moment, and it's the first time I've ever dedicated my life to athletics. But back to art, after the college guidebook, my commitment became like embodiment and deepening relationships with people in my life and with myself and how I showed up around other people, especially in a romantic context. And so my writing naturally evolved from the guidebook, which was all like intellectual, oh, this is what you should do, this is how you choose a career or whatever, to now a lot more like literary and emotional. And in Europe, I was literally reading like feminist books. And now I just read like Tim O'Brien and Joan Didion. Like I loved both of their books recently. It's just this idea that of like force versus ease, of we can't choose our commitments. And honestly, a lot of times I feel bad about myself that like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or like, oh, there's so many things I could be doing. And anytime I have free time, I'm like, oh, I should be doing, just because there's not enough constraints around me. It's helped me to view writing more like triathlon training, where I just need like one daily win. So one daily win is just like get good progress done on a draft, come up with new ideas, publish an essay on Substack. Because if I didn't put a container around writing, it would literally bleed into my whole day, where anytime I had downtime or anytime I wasn't writing, I was like, oh, I should be writing right now. And I've been a lot happier. What I've really been learning about life after college is, for sustainability, like things should feel good. And it's easy to grind when there's like an external pressure on you, like homework assignments, and that's like literally how we're trained to work. Not for ourselves and for our own betterment, but just for some bullshit external standard of like completing a homework assignment with ChatGPT or something. Writing is a gym for the mind. From 5th grade through sophomore year of high school, my commitment was YouTube. It was the thing I couldn't pull myself away from, the thing that every single week I just had to post. And I don't have that same love for YouTube, but I've tried to force myself, like, oh, you should be posting. Should. Every time I notice myself saying a should, it's like the biggest red flag in my head of like, okay, what's actually happening? Because I think the best things like flow out of me, right? Like this podcast, I had so many excuses and like perfectionism about why I should post it later, why I shouldn't film it in my home. But now I'm just in the flow and speaking from the heart. I've been examining a lot my relationship with creativity recently too, and especially the inner critic, or the voice in my head, who tells me all the reasons that things aren't gonna work. And recognizing it just as a voice and not as a direction or as wayposts, I'm able to kind of be like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? And then dismantle it and be like, okay, this is actually what I'm committed to. And specifically, a recent breakthrough I've had is that of like personal style and personal expression. When I'm writing, a lot of the times I will have this voice in my head or this image of this super complex essay draft that someone like Joan Didion or, you know, some great Substack business writer would blend all these theories and the symbolism and this expert storytelling. And then I look at my draft and it's like a few hundred words, and it's more just like a linear narrative or something, or like my writing style kind of is naturally like humorous and concise. It's not some like complex literary masterpiece, but it's like, what if it's okay, and what if that is my writing voice? What if that is exactly how I'm supposed to be expressing myself right now? And even if I have this image in my head of the complexity and the structure it can hold, that what if that voice is actually what's oppressive, and I should just let things be as they are and trust when I know a piece is done. So I've been doing that more, being more proud of my quote surface level pieces. And I even read a piece that I published earlier about just a story about Europe, that my inner critic voice was like, oh, this is too surface level, it's not like literary or revolutionary enough. But when I read that piece, I was like laughing and I was interested in it, and I was like feeling emotions at all the right places. And I was like, damn, if that's not what writing is supposed to do, I don't know what the hell else it's supposed to do. Because like that's my style and that's what came out of me, and trusting that. It is scary, but that's one of the things I'm learning, is how to keep acting despite the voice in your head, not letting that guide you. And it's hard because I have like so many different creative ideas and directions I want to pursue, but just trusting that whatever is the most interesting to me in this moment, because it changes every single day. Like literally every single day I wake up with like a new essay draft idea, or just like ideas to jot down. And so today it was this podcast, and I might film a triathlon training video later today after I swim. Yesterday it was a story about my hometown. It's this concept in Buddhism called the second arrow, which is like the first arrow is like whatever emotion or feeling or sensation we have. And when I even just take a moment to think about the first arrow, it is this feeling of embodiment. It doesn't even involve language at all. Like, it's literally just being present with what's in my body, and it's actually extremely pleasant. And then I noticed the second arrow just jabbing my brain all the time of judgment, or like, okay, I'm thinking this, what does that say about me? What does this mean about my future? And just reconnecting to like, okay, the first arrow is actually like being present with what is true in your life and what arises in your body. It feels so nice. Like, I just did it right now. And in that state, there are no problems. Because if there's no past and there's no future, there are no problems. It's just me. And like, why do I put pressure on me that like, oh, I should be a writer, I should be posting all this, when actually the best things in my life arise when I stop needing them and just trusting that more. It's a crazy balance. I think just leaning back to the idea that commitments will always arise. We don't choose what we commit to. We can't intellectualize or really articulate why our body and our consciousness are drawn to something, but trusting that whatever is calling to you now, even if it is triathlon training and you can't put it on your LinkedIn, even if networking with business people would seem really cool and quote benefit your future self, it's cool developing beyond the school timeline that society imposes. Thank you anyone who listened this far. Let me know if anything resonated with you. I'm excited to watch this GoPro footage back, because that was another thing in like my perfectionist brain was like, oh, this mount isn't working, so I should just not film at all and wait till another ride when I have a different mount. But I was like, this is gonna be what it is. This is the best I can do in my current circumstance. This podcast was the best one I could make in my current circumstance. And really, isn't that what art is?